I'd like to say I'm keeping my reading plans loosey-goosey this year, but that's not quite true. Hey Dragonlings, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Skye. I'm a fantasy author who typically writes paranormal romance under the name SD Hegyes, and today we're going to be talking about my reading plans for 2026. I actually had a different video planned for today. However, I am still in the middle of editing it because it's super long. Because it's a video about all the books I read in 2025. Spoiler alert, there was over 200. So I'm still working on that video. It'll be out hopefully next week. Hopefully. I did have a lot of the content made, and then files got corrupted and I had to start all over. So that's fun fact for today. In 2025, there was a few things I wanted to do as far as my reading plans go or went. And one of them was the fact that I had several reading challenges that I was trying to take part in. I did the A to Z challenge. I actually did that one twice. The first time I was doing titles, A to Z, and then I completed that around June. So I was like, let me just do authors. And we started from June to December, or July to December. And I attempted to do the A to Z challenge again, but this time with authors, and I did not succeed that second time. I also was going to do the clock challenge, where we try to read a book that starts with a number on the face of the clock, 1 through 12. Did not succeed at that. I don't even think I read any books. I did start one, but I DNF'd it, and I don't think I completed any books with numbers in the titles. It came too much pressure because I am a mood reader. I don't like being told what to read. I don't like having to force myself to read things just to beat challenges, just to meet requirements for challenges. Even readathons with the reading prompts, I can't bring myself to do them. I was going to attempt so many reading challenges, and I didn't do it. I didn't even try to participate after a while. Yeah, it became too much. And then the troubling thing was with also reading last year is, while I did read a lot of books, there was only a small handful that ensnared me to the point where, like, I'm still thinking about them months later. And that's just not pretty typical for me. So I wanted to change up how I'm reading in 2026, and I want to read with more intention. And in order to do this, there are a couple of things I am doing. The first of which is that I'm doing the craft symposium. This is going to be something that I attempt 9 to 10 months out of the year this year. And the reason for that is because we are moving in either July or August, and I don't know exactly when we're moving, and I don't want craft symposium to interrupt with that. Intercede with that. I'm not quite certain the word I'm looking for. Maybe one of the books I read this year should be a dictionary. Anyways, but I don't want anything to impose on that. And why did all three words I just chose start with I? Anyways, not the point. The point is that I don't want anything to screw me over with the trip, with moving. And so we don't know exactly when in July or August we're moving. And so I just want to keep those months at this moment free. So no craft symposium in those. And then I'm moving forward after our move. July will be a hiatus month, along with December is a hiatus month. So those are months I know going forward I will be taking a complete hiatus from YouTube and will not be posting any videos, which means there will be no craft symposium during those months either. And this year it may flow into August as well. We'll see. We'll see. But the point of the craft symposium is that we are going to read a nonfiction book and discuss it at the end of the month during a live stream on the last Sunday of the month. And most of the time this will be a writing craft book. Every once in a while I might pick up a nonfiction book so I can use it to see how we can use it to improve our own writing. I actually did this recently when we read The 12-Week Year by Brian Moran and Michael Lennington. I think I got the names right. I'll put a picture on the screen of the book. But we recently read that one for Craft Symposium, and now we're currently reading, as of this filming, we're currently reading The 12-Week Year for writers. But that first one, 12-Week Year, is not a writing craft book, is not geared towards authors, it's geared towards businessmen, actually. And I still thought it had value in what we as authors, as author tubers, as writers might do moving forward with planning and stuff and getting all of the things we want to accomplish done. And so I thought it was a good book to read. And going forward, that's exactly what I want to do with Craft Symposium. Not only will it be craft books, but it'll be books that we can use towards our craft that are not necessarily writing or craft related. So that's the whole point of the Craft Symposium. The other thing I'm doing is I'm doing a personal curriculum. I've had a I've had a video out recently talking about that in more detail and what I plan to do for this first semester, I guess you could call it. And there are a lot of books involved with that as well, because I have the language arts reading list, which has a ton of books and poetry on it. So I'm going to be reading through that. There are texts that I will be reading with various subjects. Like currently I'm reading a memoir biography for my history and social studies course. And I'm doing a lot of reading with my math course because I'm doing computer programming. So the different subjects might require reading as well and reading specific things. So that'll be somewhere where I am specifically reading certain things as well. The other thing I'm doing is I'm doing a couple of different buddy reads. If you'd like to do a buddy read with me and have something in mind, let me know. I would love to do more buddy reads. A couple of years ago, Amy and I talked about doing what we wanted to call Pratchett and Prattle, where we would read through Terry Pratchett's Discworld series, and every once in a while when we finished one, we would talk about that book. We hadn't actually gone into detail even exactly what we were planning with this. This would be the third year we're going to attempt it. We haven't even tried to knock this out. So I finally messaged her the other day. I was like, do you still want to do this? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, we need to figure out what book we're going to start with and get started on it then. I want to do it because I've never read a Terry Pratchett book, and I want to. So I've got most of his books now, at least in ebook form, and so there's really no reason for me not to. And I think it'd be so much fun. We hadn't discussed, like, are we going to read it and discuss it like one chapter at a time? Or are we going to read like the whole book and then discuss it? Are we just going to read it for funsies and just every once in a while we check in with each other and be like, this is the chapter I got to. Can you believe this happened? Kind of thing. We hadn't discussed any of that, but we do know that we're going to be doing that going forward. I don't know what exactly the plan is there other than that. And then late last year, JC reached out to me and she was like, hey, have you read Big Magic? And I was like, no, I don't even really know what that is. And so she was telling me about it, and she asked if I wanted to buddy read, and I was like, yeah, heck yeah. I don't really know what the book's about, but I'd love to do more buddy reads. Let's do this. So she and I are buddy reading that. I think JC started on it, and I have not. So, my bad, JC, if you see this. I'm sorry. I love you. But again, we haven't really discussed exactly what the plan is there. Are we just reading it for funsies and checking in with each other, being like, hey, this is where I got to, and having like a slight discussion privately about that, or are we going to do something publicly? We haven't discussed it, and it's okay. Buddy reads are just fun. Like, I think they're just fun. And I've never actually done a buddy read with someone before, so I don't know how most people do a buddy read. In my mind, it works like a book club, where you read the same book and then you discuss it afterwards. But that's not exactly how everyone does them. I know that there's different people that do it in different ways, and it's just a matter of finding out what you and your buddy that you're reading with want to do. So, again, more to come on that. It might be something we do publicly. It might be something we do privately. It might just be like checking in with each other via Facebook Messenger and being like, I got this far, and this is what I'm thinking so far, kind of thing. Who knows? Your guess is as good as mine. Another thing I want to do is I want to read more LGBT plus books. I read quite a few last year, but I don't know exactly what the ratio is that I read versus what I didn't read. And these are books like that I openly know are LGBT. And the reason I say openly know is because I read a graphic novel last year, and what convinced me to read it was my youngest read it. It was from her school library, and she brought it home, and she was like, Mom, I think you'll like this. One of the main characters is trans. And I started reading it, and I was like, maybe they're trans, but it never openly said. It could just have been someone who was masked. I apologize ahead of time if I butcher this. If you know what I mean, there was two different characters. One was male who represented as liking feminine things. They liked having their nails painted. They liked dressing up. I don't think I know cross-dressing used to be the term. I don't know if it still is, and I don't want to use that term if it's not. So if you know, let me know, because I don't know anymore. I'm not up to date on what's currently being used terminology wise. But the other character was definitely more feminine and presenting as masculine. Even so far as changing their name to a more masculine name, which is why my daughter was like, this is a trans character. And she might be right. I just know that it never openly said in the story whether that character was trans or not. But even if they weren't trans, with all of the femme masking and male masking, again, not certain if my terminology is right. But there was other things too, like there was lesbian relationships and queer relationships. So like, even if the characters themselves were not trans or trans representing, there were other LGBT aspects to it as well. So it was still one that I read and counted towards an LGBT read. But I would like to find more books that purposely admit to being part of the LGBT. I read more trans books last year than I have ever in the past. I think I read 4 or 5. And I would like more. And then I was watching another video recently where someone mentioned that they wanted to go through the whole alphabet of LGBTQIA+. I always just shorten that to LGBT+, because that's what I was used to. It's what I grew up with. I do know that there's more letters. I understand that there's more letters. And I thought the idea of going through and reading a book that was... They were looking for books by authors of each of those letters, but I honestly wouldn't just mind reading books with characters, because L for lesbian, LG, I have to go through this every time, G for gay, LGB, bisexual, which is what I am, so that works, T for trans. I've actually found discovering more and more of those as we go along now that I've read a few. LGBTQ, Q was queer, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it's queer. I for intersex. Can you tell I haven't actually researched this in a while? And A was asexual, so, or aerosexual. I don't think it was ally. I'm not positive anymore. My not understanding what the extra letters, the extra letters before the plus is why I shortened it down to LGBT+. Because I know there's more. It's just those are the ones I absolutely know, whereas I don't really know the rest. Is that on me? Absolutely. I understand that. Not the point of this video. Anyways, my point is that I think that would be fun. So I'm not going to do that per se, but I would like to be more intentional about finding book with further LGBT+ representation. I have quite a few lesbian or sapphic romances that I want to get to. Some of them even by authors here on AuthorTube. I've got a book by Heather Salter Purvis that is I want to say it's a dark sapphic fantasy? Romantasy? Correct me if I'm wrong, Heather, if you see this. But I've got one of her books that is definitely sapphic. There's a couple other books that I have that are sapphic as well. And then I have a few authors that I follow who write gay romance, MM romance, if you want to use that terminology instead. I'm discovering more and more trans representation because of the fact that I've read so many last year, and now they're getting recommended to me via Amazon. And then, so it's now I've got to go finding, I read a couple of books with bisexual characters too, which was kind of awesome because it was really cool to see myself represented. But I want to see more, I want to find more LGBT plus books as well of the other letters and really learn what the other letters are. I think that should be my first assignment, is I need to learn what the other letters are. Skye, time to do some research, please. And then following that, or adding on to that, I want to read more BIPOC authors. I want to read. I've read a few. I try to read outside of just white male and white female authors. I try to, but at the same time, I don't do a lot of research into the authors of books before I read the books. Usually I do the research after. And mostly that's because I am a mood reader and I see a pretty cover and I'm like, ooh, I want to read that. Or I read a blurb and I'm like, ooh, I want to read that. And I don't care who wrote it 90% of the time. Maybe 75% of the time. But I do want to get more intentional about actively finding BIPOC authors. I would like to read more authors from other cultures because a lot of what I read, even if it is from a BIPOC author, it's from a BIPOC author who lives here in the US. And I would like to read books from authors in other countries. I think that is something I need to be actively trying to do and seeking out books and titles from authors from other countries, whether it is they are written in English originally or they were originally written in another language and then translated to English, because I don't think I ever read translated books. Very rarely. I'm reading one now that was translated, actually, now that I think about it. But overall, I don't actively seek out translated books, and I think maybe that might be something I need to start doing. I don't know. If you got any recommendations for anything LGBT plus or BIPOC, drop it in the comments. If it's someone here on AuthorTube, I probably already have it on my list. But I do want to be more intentional about what I'm actively trying to read. And then, of course, I'm still going to continue doing fun reads because I am a mood reader. I would like to attempt the A to Z challenge again. I'm not going to actively seek books, though. What I'm going to do is, as I finish books, I'm going to fill out the chart for the A to Z challenge and see if I can just fill it picking up books naturally, kind of thing. I'm not going to actively say, oh, I'm missing this letter, this letter, this letter. Let me go find books by that with those letters. I'm not going to do that. I did that last year. It was a pain in the ass. So this year, I don't want to do that. I just want to read books, and if they meet the requirements, I want to add them to that list. And then, kind of like last year, but this year I want to be more active about it. I do want to participate in more readathons. Stephanie was lovely to add me to, or send me a link to a Discord server with a whole bunch of readathons that are like, people are just constantly posting in this Discord about different readathons, whether they're all year or different months of the year. And that's really cool. Now, the one readathon I cannot do is HERKIT. And if you haven't heard of HERKIT, it's an acronym that stands for the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do. Yes, oh, look, I got it right for once. This was made by someone on AuthorTube. It was made by Stephanie over at QWERTY Q. And if you haven't heard of that, I will leave a link to one of her videos talking about it below. I don't know which one it'll be yet. You'll know before I know, probably. But, yeah, that one is just, that's too much. If I was reading more intentionally and I was actively seeking out specific things, I'm kind of touching that this year, but I'm not to the same extent that HERKIT does. Not even like the barest tip of what HERKIT does. HERKIT is very much about being intentional with your reading, and everything matches different prompts. And it's just, that's not for me. That's not for me. That's not the way I roll. So that is one readathon I will probably never attempt. I think the idea is amazing, and I think Q is so cool for creating that reading challenge, but I will probably never participate. I did debate it for a little bit that first year she started it, and then I actually started reading some of the prompts. So I was like, yeah, no, this is not happening. Not at all. So, sorry Q. Sorry Stephanie if you're watching this. Not happening. Sorry. But I do want to try to participate in some other readathons. Every once in a while, I'll see someone on AuthorTube doing like a wrap up of what readathons they've done. And I'm like, oh, that sounds so cool. I need to add it to my list. I never do. Never do. There's one really cool one that I can't remember the name of off the top of my head, where you create a character and you're basically attending school, and the reading prompts are based on the classes you take with that specific character, and you can graduate the courses based on how how much you read and what you read and how well you fulfill the prompts. I think that is such a cool concept, but I always miss it. It's held twice a year, I think, and I still always miss it. Just because life gets busy and I forget to check in, and the next time I'm hearing about it is when someone's completed it and it's done for the year, and I'm like, aw, man, I wanted to do that one. Oh well, maybe next year, and then I never do. So I think that's one that would be really cool to like add to my calendar. That's what I need to do. I just need to add them to my calendar. Oh well. So readathons is something I would like to start doing more in the future. I think they are so fun. I think the concept of them is such a great idea, and I just haven't participated in any yet. Maybe someday, maybe even this year. We'll see. I don't know. When I check back in this time next year, I guess we'll find out if I did. One of the last things I want to talk about with my intentions of reading and going through this way is that I would like to read. I would like to. How do I word this? I would like to study each of the books I'm reading, no matter where they fall into, whether they're craft books or fiction books or memoirs or poetry. Even if it's just for like a couple minutes after I finish reading, I would like to sit with my thoughts and think about the books more and think about like what I liked about them, what this particular author did with this book that I could implement into my own writing in the future, because I very much believe that we get to become better writers by being better readers and understanding what people like when they read books and like what sells. So that's one of the things that I want to start doing more of as well, is kind of analyzing, more so after I read with fiction books, analyzing what I liked about the book, what I found to be enjoyable about it, so that I could start implementing small nuggets of those things into my own writing. I want to study the craft through the books I'm reading to discover what people like about them, so that I could start implementing those things in my own writing. That's what I mean. And because of all that, I will probably read less books this year, but I'm hoping to get more out of every book that I read with those thoughts in mind. And that's it. That's my intentions for this year. That's what I would like to do in 2026 when I'm reading. Anyways, if you've made it this far in the video, please leave me an emoji with your favorite animal. Mine is, of course, the fox. But I would like to know what your favorite animal is. I would do books, but I do books for a lot of reading-related videos, so I figured I'd change it up this time. So leave me a fox. No, leave me your favorite animal. I would leave a fox. Sorry. Anyways, that is all I have for you guys today. My question for you is, what are some of your reading intentions for this year? Are you trying to read more and just knock out your TBRs? Are you trying to read less and read with more intention, kind of like I am? Are you buddy reading with anyone? Are you buddy reading with anyone? Are you doing any kind of readathons? Let me know all of the things down below. And with that, I will see you all in my next video. Bye, Dragonlings.